Hello everyone and welcome. Today we'll be reading the journal entries of Arthur Morgan. Through these entries, we will get insight on Arthur's thoughts as he travels with his gang, who is commonly referred to as Dutch's Boys, encounters strangers, and explores the world in the time of the Wild West. I hope everyone is well, and let's get to reading. I bought this new journal after the last one got destroyed in the fire all those months ago, whenever it was. Haven't written or drawn much in the past few months, but I was missing it more than I thought I would, and finally near a store, so here I am, I guess. After all that business up north in the fire, we spent a few months in the wilderness, traveling down from the northern grizzlies. Stuck mostly in the western foothills of the mountains during the worst of the winter, food was easy to find and life was good. Dutch had a lead for some land where we were going to buy, but the land did not match up to his criteria, or he got spooked we were being watched by the law, and that somebody knew who he was. We never bought it, and we were still wondering. I picked up a couple of new folk in the Grizzlies. Jenny, a sweet young girl we met abandoned on the roadside, and Micah, an outlaw Dutch met in the bar someplace. Dutch seemed very taken with Micah, who was pretty hot-headed, argumentative, and, well, quite full of himself. Jose and I are less sure. I guess we shall see. Eventually, we came out of the wilderness and are now holed up outside of Blackwater, although sometimes I stay in town, hunting for opportunities. I might be onto something. We got plenty of money, and the trail we took was so treacherous and slow, nobody could have followed us south and east, or figured out where we were heading. We was thinking about California, but then Dutch and Hosea brought us down to Blackwater. Blackwater has apparently grown a lot since any of them were last year. I was told to expect a little more than a trading post, but the place is growing fast, and it's almost a small city. The town seems to be riddled with corruption, but there's certainly plenty of money here. It's good to sleep in a bed from time to time, and living a more civilized life after so long under canvas, but I do not particularly like being near a town. We are living here, camping outside town mostly. Hidden in plain sight, I guess. Life seems pretty easy. Abigail and Marston keep arguing. I wonder why exactly he came back. He couldn't seem to decide if he wants to be a father to that boy of his or not. The arguing is exhausting. Jose and I are onto something pretty big. Might be a lot of cash coming in to do with a real estate scam Hosea thinks he may have discovered. I'm not so sure yet. The perfect crime, we think. One where we can rob crooks. We're going to be real careful. It's fun working with Hosea again. The man is an artist of nonsense. Even if nothing comes of it, we are having an amusing enough time. It's good to be running scams again. Hosea is a born huckster. He's getting anxious, worried that by lingering in town, we are going to bring undue attention onto ourselves. But Dutch thinks he is also onto something big. His words, not mine. Big money being brought in from a boat, apparently. So for now, we're working on both things and seeing what happens. Plan is to flee west into the desert country someplace if we can. Micah and Dutch are planning to rob the ferry in town. They think it's laden with riches, cash coming in from the banks, coming in by boat. For once, I'm not getting involved in this job. Hosea and I are too taken with our own business, which I believe could go very well, and Dutch seems confident that the group assembled, all will be okay. Plan is for them to carry out the job, then flee into the wilderness out to the west. The next day, Hosea and I will carry out our scam and join them. Dutch seems pretty happy and excited. He's talking again about California, but he's also talking a lot about a lot of other places. We have been running for weeks. Running more than usual. The job they was pulling in Blackwater, robbing that ferry, it turned into a disaster. Young Jenny got killed, poor thing. While Sean and Mac both got arrested or killed, nobody seems sure which. Dutch shot a girl. I'm not too sure if it was by accident or design, and it seems like it might have been a setup. We took to the hills in an almighty scramble, leaving money and most of our things behind. Then, as we were fleeing east over the grizzlies, an almighty storm hit us. Davy, who had got shot in the gut on the raid, unfortunately passed. It was brutal to watch, and the rest of us nearly froze, but we found shelter and have been resting here in some old abandoned mining town while we await the thaw. Hardly the spring I had been hoping for. Jose and I have been planning a robbery of our own in Blackwater, but I guess that has to be abandoned along with most of what we owned. I am profoundly concerned as to what happens next, once we leave this place or the law finds us cowering up here. We found a girl, well, a woman I should say. Her husband had been murdered by Colm O'Driscoll's boys. Nasty business. Seems Colm O'Driscoll had the same idea as us. He's been hiding up here, scouting out a train he wanted to rob. We bumped into some of his boys at some farmstead they were robbing. Found that poor woman whose husband they had murdered, and she's now riding with us, as she ain't got no place better to be. Then, Dutch being Dutch, and his hatred for Colm being just as powerful as ever it was, a whole bunch of us went to pay him a visit in his camp, but he escaped. We grabbed one of the boys. Poor bastard ain't spoken yet, but he will once we freeze him a little, then set Bill on him. Had a bad few weeks, but, well, we're mostly still alive. Dutch being Dutch is busy making plans and figuring out just how we're going to survive. And Dutch, well, being Dutch, those plans involve robbery and dreams. Finally, a thaw in this god-awful weather. We got off the mountain and rode east into some pretty enough country called the Heartlands. Ain't been this far east in many years. Hosea seems to know the country a little. Ain't been much of a spring, now holed up at some place called Horseshoe Overlook, outside of some dumpy little cattle town named Valentine. Dutch seems a little better. His eyes are sparkling once more, and I can see he's thinking a little clearer. I think we all feel a little happier, in spite of Blackwater and that whole mess. Headed into Valentine with Uncle and the girls. Girls went scouting for work while Uncle and I had a few drinks, and he explained more of his theories on existence and bare-faced lies about his past. Things took a strange turn. Some fella seemed to recognize me, or us, from Blackwater. Guess we had been holed up here for too long, while Jose and I scouted the job that never was. I chased the bastard, and he nearly fell off a cliff. I spared him, and he gave me an ink pen. I hope I won't regret my leniency, but I reckon he got the stare of his life. Jimmy Brooks was his name. Met some old drunk in Valentine. Claimed he was a shootist. Seemed more like a clown to me. Some poor fool was writing a book about him, or trying to. He asked me to find a few folk who had spent more time in publicity than me and knew old Jim back when he was a real killer. Their names were Emmett, Flunko, Billy, and Black Bell. Colm O'Driscoll slipped through our fingers once more, and I saw my own life slipping through mine. That gentle buffoon we kidnapped up in the mountains took us to a cabin. We were planning to kill Colm, but he had just gone elsewhere. We shot a bunch of his boys, and one was about to end my life when Kiernan shot him. This feud, it split out from Dutch's and Colm's mutual hatred into a loathing that permeates all of us and all of them. Went off drinking with young Lenny. Thanks to my own peculiar genius for trouble when drunk, the evening did not go quite according to plan, but somehow neither of us got killed or arrested for murder. I mean, well, we got arrested of course, but not for murder at least. I don't think it was for murder because, well, they let us out. Whole thing was a bit of a blur. Somehow, I don't imagine that the saloon owner in Valentine likes me very much after the mayhem I have caused there. Here Strauss is back to lending money, and I'm back to collecting it. The work mostly revolts me and shames me. Somehow, robbing people honestly with a gun and fist is less repellent than robbing them fully in accordance with the law. It'll be the usual sort of desperados, sick farmers, pregnant maids, lovesick young men, and other dupes desperate enough and, well, stupid enough to take Strauss's terms. I went to call in alone, some farmer, local do-gooder. Think I'd seen him in Valentine before when I was fighting that big fella. He begged and coughed, and I beat him half to death. Such is life, well, and such is the world. His boy looked at me like I was the devil, and perhaps for him, I was. The whole thing confused me. Maybe that's wrong. The whole thing revolted me, and my part in it. These sad, desperate bastards, their silly expectations of life, and their thwarted reality, the unkindness of existence, I can handle that just fine. But I do not love it, nor those who try to make things otherwise, I guess. I saw Mary again. I feel like the luckiest man alive, and I also feel like a fool. That woman confuses me and plays me like a fiddle like no one else alive. Her little brother Jamie had joined some religious order and needed saving, or so she said, and that god-awful daddy of hers seemed to think. I took him home after a pathetic little squabble. Poor boy. Wonder what will become of him. Education and an unpleasant father have been a terrible curse for him, I fear. As for Mary, I trust I will not make a god-awful fool of myself once more, but somehow, I imagine I shall. Took a day off and went off hunting with Hosea. He really seems to be getting his strength back a bunch, although he was lucky not to die as this big bear he'd been after turned on us. I thought when we was stuck in the mountains that the cold and the misery would kill him, and we would bury him like we buried Jenny and Davy, but he pulled through, and he'll live a while yet. I love Dutch like a father, but in many ways I love Hosea even more. He's kind and fair and like a human being. Dutch is something else. This bear was, well, also something else. Size of a goddamn hotel. It was, and mean with it. Black Belle. What a woman. If she was younger and I was in the market for a woman to go killing with, what a pair we would have made. She told me old boy Calloway was a poser and a liar. Big surprise. Guess Billy Midnight never escaped his past. Guy was deranged about shooting some fella in the back, or in their sleep or something else. Very insensible in my opinion. Anyway, guilt had consumed him, so like a real proper gentleman, he tried to kill me. Met Emmett Granger. I cannot think of a single man I have enjoyed seeing dead more than this bastard. Pig shit and hatred, and he still threw a knife at me. I found Flunko for that silly book. Killed him. Bastard jumped out of the way, but I still got him. Didn't seem like the type I was gonna befriend anyway. Met a nice fella taking photos of animals. Albert Mason, I think he was called. Kind and interesting and entirely lost and unused to the real country, even though he seemed to love it. Trying to take pictures of all our biggest predators before they all got killed off themselves by the modern world. More problems have befallen us. More running. Leviticus Cornwell, the oil, sugar, rail, and greed merchant whom we robbed a while back, had us ambushed in Valentine. Seems he has added to the price on our heads. We shot our way out of town and narrowly escaped with our lives. The only amusing aspect of the horror was seeing Herr Strauss getting grazed and acting like he was preparing for his short trip down to hell. After this, we fled the country and headed even further south and east, camping by a lake. This is pretty much a new country for me. Charles and I saved a family of Germans who were in the process of getting themselves killed. He's a better man than me. He does not need to think to be good. It just comes naturally to him. Like, right is so deep within as opposed to the conflict between good and evil that rages within me. So, turns out we're holed up outside a town called Rhodes, deep down in the old cotton country. The place has not recovered from the war, and those folks that is sober enough to think are still very angry. The drunk, which, well, is most of them, are angrier still, and perhaps for other reasons. Adding to the absurdity of it all, we appear to be planning to deputize ourselves into the local law enforcement. Seems like there is a long-running blood feud between two old families here, and both Dutch and Hosea believe they may be sitting on a lot of gold. We shall see, I guess. Miss Adler, the widow we rescued a while back, might be the craziest one of us all. She fights like a cornered polecat with a rage and a bloodlust that frightens the hell out of me. If I ever get on her wrong side, I'm a dead man. I don't intend to. She's a fine woman, amusing and good-hearted and decent and also angry. I took her shopping, and right after we got jumped, she went insane and showed us she can kill with the best of us. I met a fella called Miss Margaret, an animal trainer and showman, or showwoman? Mistress of danger. Quite a character. Wants me to find some missing animals. All his animals were as fake as the rest of his act, until I was to find and retrieve a real lion from somewhere or other in Africa. I thought it was going to be another dog. But no, it was a real lion. Thing looked like it wanted me for its next meal. Finally, we have achieved a state of true insanity. For the first time in my life, I am a deputized lawman. We went off with some moronic dope deputy working for the alcohol-drenched Sheriff Gray, pursuing some moonshiners. Dutch is convinced this will somehow lead to riches beyond compare. Seems the one powerful local family, the Grays, ex-Scots, is warring with another, proud English family, the Braithwaites, like some long-running dispute from the border country. Apparently, there's gold or women or something at the root of this, but if it's gold, we want it. Either way, we are so deep in the swamp and so entirely lost ourselves. I hope it will take the Pinkertons and their like a long while to find us. We shall see. I've met some charming women in my time. Catherine Braithwaite, the mother hen to that particular bunch of roosters, well, ain't one of them. A sour old jug of piss and bullshit I ain't ever met. Even Jose's charms were lost upon her. She refused our offer of selling her back her shine, and instead got us to give it away to annoy the saloon owners in town. Hosea put on quite a show until we got interrupted by the bastard we robbed when we were grabbing the stuff. There always seems to be more. Bounty hunters, Pinkertons, lawmen. Everywhere we go, there's more and more civilization. Perhaps this is it for now. We shall see, I guess. This whole place is beginning to give me the creeps. I want to go back in the old country of the West, or what's left of it, but even that ain't the way I remember it. We went house thieving, our greed getting the better of us. Believed a yarn spun us by one of that Gray family. He had us believing that the Braithwaite woman owned some highly prized English thoroughbreds, or Arab chargers, or whatever they were supposed to be, and I imagined we were going to be wonderfully rich. At the end of it, we felt like prize idiots, so I guess at least some prizes were being handed out. I have been recuperating after an interesting encounter with Colm O'Driscoll. Dutch got it into his mind to meet the bastard, to somehow end all this lunacy. Only Colm did not share Dutch's sense of honor among thieves. Whole thing was a setup to kidnap me, then lure all the rest of us into a trap so we could get arrested and Colm could disappear away, us somehow carrying off his sin. Seems like Colm is enjoying this modern world even less than we are. More by luck than judgment, I escaped and somehow got back here, more dead than alive, and collapsed into a bed for a few feverish days. After much nursing from Miss Grimshaw and Miss Tilly, and much guilt-ridden apologies from Dutch over his stupidity, I survived okay. Sean has been killed. I'm more sad than I can admit. I loved that little loudmouth wrench more than I knew. He was like a little annoying brother to me. What fun we had riding together. And now, he's dead. His head shot half off in an ambush. What a goddamn mess we are making of things. Still no Confederate gold, but a shitload of trouble. We've moved again. More trouble with the Pinkertons. More trouble with the locals. More trouble all around. Little Jack's been kidnapped, so we're trying to find him. Apparently some fella in Saint Denis, Senor something or another, took umbrage to our presence and kidnapped him, or, heaven forbid, worse. We burnt down Braithwaite Manor when we went hunting for him, and an almighty scrape. Then we got spoken to again by Agent Milton. This time he asked us for Dutch's head on a platter. We got him to leave, but they ain't too pleased with us. So we headed into St. Denis to find little Jack. We was told he'd been kidnapped by some local gangster, this Italian feller called Bronte, a local tough guy. We ain't found him, but he found us. Dutch and I headed into town and I managed to get myself robbed by a bunch of children. This was a new low, even by my standards. Anyway, we found Mr. Bronte and are going to pay him a call. We better get that boy back soon, not least because if we don't, Abigail will kill the lot of us. All this after we burned down the Braithwaite Manor house, looking for him, and we made some real enemies ourselves back in that country. We are now heading deep within the swamps, trying not to get eaten by wildlife or stuck too deeply in the mud. I cannot decide what I like less, the swamps or the city. Both are full of parasites, reptiles, and slime, but the swamp's prettier. Dutch is trying to think of where we could run next, but in the meantime, we are deep in the swamps, hiding in some disease-ridden old plantation house, mostly swallowed up by nature. Guess we will find Jack, get some money, then flee. But where? These bastards aren't giving up. We're a long way east of land, we know, and far from real open country. Met a curious Frenchman in a bar, bought him a drink, and he gave me a picture, said he was an artist, although I'm not sure I see what is so good about it. I always heard Saint Denis was one of the 7 wonders of the world. If that is so, I don't care much to see the other 6. It's a depressing place that shows you that the only thing worse than people is a whole lot of people. I have not ever met a lizard in a suit before, only now I have, and his name is Angelo Bronte. He's either our salvation or our damnation. The city's strongman arrived from Italy a few years ago, and now knows and controls everything and everyone. He had not harmed Jack, other than feeding him some strange food, and Dutch seems to think that maybe we can get something from this oily dictator. Personally, I don't trust him more than I trust any hungry animal not to try and eat me, but for now, we are somewhat safe and hidden. The whole place gives me the creeps. Mary wrote to me, wants to see me again. Oh Mary, what fools we are. What a fool I am. I saw Mary and that awful daddy of hers, who has taken to drink, which unsurprisingly ain't improved him a whole lot. What a foul pig he is, taken to hawking off his family's heirlooms and cursing the world for it. Old daddy's a good and upright man, but he treats his daughter like a possession to be mistreated and abused as he sees fit. Strange creatures, men. I don't know. All I know is that I love her, and she both loves and detests me. It never worked before, and it won't ever work now, yet it gnaws at me. The idea of it gnaws at me like a sickness. I've got to give all that nonsense up. I'm an outlaw, a murderer, a man with a code different to ordinary folk, and Mary ain't never going to be for my world. Met a crazy man named Marco in St. Denis. I'm still amazed by what I experienced. I did not understand any of it, but even though he was annoying and a sharp mouth, he seemed obviously highly intelligent. Was I duped? I have no idea. Would it be the first time I've fallen for the rantings of an intelligent man telling me how to think? Only he didn't tell me how to think. The whole thing was odd. Told me to come see him at his lab at Dover Hill. Maybe I will. My lord, now I have done everything. I went to a ball like a fool in a fairy tale. Dutch got us invited by old Senior Bronte, and off we trooped, tussled up like turkeys for Thanksgiving, and waxed and polished and primped to within the inch of our lives. Bronte did not mingle with the other guests, but lorded over the place like a Roman emperor, deciding who to have killed for his fun. The place was full of drunks, lunatics, liars, and clowns. But the thing was kind of fun. Managed not to get into too much trouble. It might have some business opportunities on account of inquiries there. We shall see, I guess. Seeing Bill dressed up like an ambassador and awkward as a schoolgirl was one of the funniest moments of my life. Met Evelyn Miller, the writer, which was amazing for Dutch. And I also met the mayor. Dutch and Hosea seem to think this dump is a world of possibilities. They want to look into the bank and see some other business opportunities. We shall see. As long as we keep ahead of the Pinkertons and Mr. Cornwell and the rest of them for a while, maybe we shall be okay. Met that writer Evelyn Miller in the street. He remembered me from the party, and apparently my petty crimes did not go entirely unnoticed. Better keep my head down a little better. He introduced me to a couple of Indians, father and son. Son angry. Father with an air of, what exactly? Of something both impressive and frightening and kind about him. A great man defeated by powerful and awful forces? I do not know, but his eyes, his very manner spoke to me. Somehow I agreed to help them. Seems they, like us, have problems with the gilded ape, Mr. Cornwell, and his foul empire. We shall see how this pans out. I went to an art gallery. Seems fine and fancy living ain't quite so different from life in the wilderness, robbing stagecoaches. Was an expedition of paintings by the artist I met a couple of times. Charles something or another. French fella. Seems he'd been doing more than painting his models. Kiernan, the poor kid we spared from O'Driscoll's gang up in the mountains, is dead. Killed by the bastard. He saved my life and I could not save his. They chopped his head off and tried to kill the lot of us. Miss Adler fought braver than any of us. She is driven by powerful forces I scarcely understand. That's what love has done to her, I guess. I feel like an animal, living out here in the mud. The whole place just gives me the creeps. Seems those of us who thought Angelo Bronte was a lizard in the suit were right, and them as thought he was a gentleman's thief eager to help us on our own merry way was wrong. Bastard sent us into a trap in town, told us to rob the trolley station. No money, but the entire police force waiting for us. Dutch nearly died. Lenny fought real hard. The kid is good in a fight and saved us. Dutch is planning some big escape for us all, some grand master plan. Everything we are attempting here seems troubled. I hope we can get out of here alive. Right now, it doesn't seem likely. Dutch is raging about Bronte's deception or betrayal or whatever quite it was. Dutch doesn't like being made a fool of. Even Micah, with all his teasing and needling, plays it real cool with Dutch. I would not want to be Bronte right now. I cannot see Dutch letting this pass. We went to teach Angelo Bronte a lesson. Well, we taught him something, I guess. Taught him alligators have a nasty way about them. Dutch is torn between his dreams of escape and his need to prove something or other. I don't quite know what. I'm not even sure he does. Wants us to make one last big haul of cash, then flee for Tahiti, retire and become farmers. What the hell is Tahiti? Now it's bananas and coconuts and long boat rides. Guess anywhere the train can get to, the law can get to. Dutch probably has it right. This country really doesn't want folk like us no more. From ocean to ocean, places going to law-abiding and decent and dulled and rigid, until folks have frozen themselves into nothingness. The people in this city are worse and more desperate than the nastiest gunslinger I have ever met. They shoot you in the back and make you pay. They walk past the lost and starving like they can't see them. Keep feeling sick, but I'm sure it's nothing. My lord, what a goddamn mess. Everything. The bank job we planned so hard was a setup. Hosea got himself killed. Lenny got shot in the head. Martian got himself arrested and is awaiting trial. We fled, leapt on a ship, sailed into a storm, and the ship sank. The whole thing feels like a dream, like a fool's nightmare. I survived that. And well, being lost at the sea and getting washed ashore on an island called Guarma. Whatever Tahiti is like, I hope it ain't nothing like Guarma. Some nasty bastards had people by the throat and we ended up in a fight with a goddamn army. Javier nearly died. I nearly got killed. But at least we met some real decent folk, brave folk, living in that land of hell. Don't think I met many folk that deserved killing more than the leaders on that island. Upon returning, we found the folk again, at least them that weren't dead. But within a few hours, the Pinkertons had found us all again. Old ancient Milton wants us all dead, and yet somehow we survived, and now we're planning another escape. Not sure what will happen next. The whole thing has been hard on all of us, most of all Dutch, who seems half crazed by all we have gone through. Turns out, I'm not feeling very well. Got tuberculosis. Doctor did not know how long I would last. All of them bullets shot at me, all of them horses that threw me, all of them fights, and it was beating up that pathetic little fella Downs that killed me. He's the only man I've been that was real sick. He begged for mercy, and I beat the bastard, and he died. And now I'm dying. I guess that's the way of the world. My mind is racing, of course. That monk and that nun, Dow's widow, Abigail, Mary, Dutch. When I first knew him, Hosea, my dead pa, that no-good bastard, the whole crowd of people. And what kind of man have I been? What kind of man am I? What world is this we live in? A land of fury or a place of love? Am I being prepared for eternal damnation? Am I past any kind of saving? Is it all a fairy tale? Man ain't got much good in him, and I ain't got much good in me. I don't think. And yet, I see goodness. I see it, if not in me, in the good folk, in Abigail and her love for Jack, and that silly monk, in Dow's, I guess, begging not for himself but for the poor, even though he was nearly starving himself. Maybe I don't want salvation. Part of me has always longed for death. Well, here it comes, I suppose. Went back to see Calloway, and he had me kidnap some old enemy of his, Slim Grant, and they ended up shooting each other, and then Calloway tried to turn on me. Less said the better, but that guy got his book, and I will slide back into obscurity. Gunslinging ain't the life for me. I prefer good, honest killing with none of the pretensions. I went to see the professor at his lab. He had built some sort of mechanical sun. He seemed to think it was amazing, but we could not get the thing to work properly. I was not half impressed with him as he was with himself. Molly ratted us out. Dutch broke her heart, so she told the law about us. Explains how they found us so easily, I guess. Love does strange things to us all, even stranger than hate. She turned up drunk and mouthy and told us all this. She was so pathetic, I wanted to spare her, but Miss Grimshaw put a bullet in her anyway. Guess it was right. Guess there weren't much of a choice. For some insane reason, I went out gathering debts for Strauss. Whole business revolted me. Bunch of sad, desperate bastards and me, their worst nightmare. I had enough of the whole business, so I ran Strauss out of camp. Whole business of loaning revolted me. Turns out it's going to kill me too, so I guess that's about right. Probably did Strauss a favor running him out of camp, but either way, I could not bear to see his beady little eyes no more. I saw that Downs kid being beaten up, so I helped him. Maybe I shouldn't have killed his poor father if I cared so goddamn much. What a conflicted fool I've become, or have always been. Then I tried to rescue his mother, who was in the process of getting herself murdered. Maybe she wanted that. I don't know. She looked at me like I am what I am, a killer seeking out salvation. Only I'm not. I don't want saving. I don't deserve it. I just want to help a few folk, and I sure as shit owe her. I felt like a fraud and a fool, but at least I did something. Sadie Adler and I rescued Marson from prison, where he was waiting hanging. Spied on them in a balloon, an event in which was amazing and awful, and I thought would kill me quicker than this illness. Later, Sadie and I rescued him while getting shot at. I did it for Abigail, of course, in her own way, the finest woman I know. But I also did it for Jack, and I guess Marston himself. I kinda like him. We argued over the years, but I've grown to care for him a little. He's less of a fool than he was, and maybe He can have the luck that has eluded me. Jack is an innocent little boy. In him, I see what I missed. We did it, Miss Adler and me, and then we got attacked by Dutch. I went behind his back, sure, and he never likes that. But I suppose the years of blind loyalty is at an end. Loyal, yes, but not blind. Not until he opens his eyes as to the hell that we're in, and who his friends really are. Micah, I no longer trust whatsoever, nor do I trust half of them, nor myself. The whole thing's a mess, and I cannot think clearly. Dutch, in his infinite wisdom, decided to shoot Mr. Cornwell. Now, I'm not saying Cornwell did not need shooting, but I don't think it was quite our place to act as his judge and executioner. Micah and Dutch seem to be planning something. Seems like what they both want, most of all, is all of us dead. Saw Eagle Fly as the chief's son again. Dutch was captivated by him, turning on his charm and confidence and seeming like a dangerous snake. What is wrong with him? Eagle Flies is desperate and angry. The local regiment are tormenting him and goading him into a fight. Now Dutch is in his ear. This will be a disaster. I went to speak with the chief about the situation. I helped him recover some precious things from the army. He gave me some medicine which helped me a little. He's a man who not so long ago I would have found weak and pathetic, and now I see him as wise and thoughtful and sensible. I would love to help him, or at least stop Dutch pushing his son to do something real stupid. I met Captain Monroe, a good man in a difficult situation. This dump must seem a long way from West Point in Washington. He cares about the Indians, but he ain't too friendly with the local regiment. Helped him distribute some vaccines that others were not so keen to offer. Things went from bad to worse with the army. Charles and I rescued Monroe and probably ruined his life in the process. I just hope he can find peace someplace. After putting him on the train, I bumped into the nun, Sister Cauldron, bound for Mexico. She gave me a few home truths about existing in this world, and perhaps the next. Maybe I have got something to hope for. Anyway, it all sounded very pretty, and took away all the dread that I have been feeling. Blew up a bridge with Marston, either to stop the army from killing us quite so easily when we attempt to rob this last train, or because we want to encourage Uncle Sam to send another train, full of payroll for us to rob. Dutch is now acting crazy, and I'm acting crazy back. I'm facing death and acting foolish. I hope Marston uses his brain. The time for heroics and loyalty to people is over. The time is for acting right and saving the innocent, not the guilty. I got a letter from Mary. What did I expect? What did I want? We're never meant to be, and never really was, and yet somehow, in the end, I discovered I had a heart because it was broken. Oh, you fool. You sad, deluded fool. Torn in two by two different ideas of who you were, and it turns out you weren't neither of them. So we saw Colm Driscoll swing. Indeed, we did the law's job for them, as his boys were lined up to spring him, but we dealt with them. Dutch is back to being himself, at least for the moment. Sadie's like a dog with a bone, although she ain't done with them yet, I don't imagine. Wonder if this will calm Dutch down and we can get back to surviving ourselves, rather than just killing them we despise. I don't feel too much. Bastard wanted to kill me, but he didn't want to do that much, and I guess I felt about the same. You were never exactly my fight, really, and now my fight is real different, with a different enemy, one I cannot see, nor put a bullet into. Him and his boys was our fault, alright, but did we ever exist, or were we just a group of individuals, each just falling for Dutch's dumb bluster? I feel like I don't know anything anymore. That whole life of certainties are over. My whole code that I lived and killed by. Was it true? Or was there a bigger truth I was too dumb to ever see? I went with Charles to save Eagle Flies. They was going to hang him, I think. Rescued him out of Fort Wallace in a storm. I don't feel so good. I see clearly but also see nothing at all. The whole place has gone to hell. Dutch is talking nonsense, and folks are undecided if they see him as our only hope or an anchor that is dragging us all to the bottom of the ocean. I hope John has more brains in his head than sometimes I fear he does. I should have, well, it's a bit late for regrets, but there's a whole lot I should have done, and even more I shouldn't have done. Just hope that I did some good once I learned to see the world for what it was. Ain't my fault the process took quite as long as it did. Oh Mary, be happy, please, be happy. Tilly, Mary Beth, save Karen if she ain't too far gone. John, protect Abigail and Jack. Rainsfall, save your son as you could not save your people. Dutch, start listening to them as they really loved you. Alright everyone, that was the last entry of Arthur's journal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a lot different than anything I've ever done, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. I just really wanted to give Arthur his own moment and showcase the growth that he experienced through this game before we continue on to the epilogue. Arthur is such an amazing character. I've really grown connected to him as we played the game, and I really wanted to read the journal so that we could kind of reminisce in all the amazingness that is Arthur, and to see again how much he's grown from the very beginning, because we've been playing this game for quite some time and you kind of forget where we started when you're so far into it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading of Arthur's journal, and yeah, I hope everyone has an amazing rest of their day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.